Hi guys. Okay, so let's get into this. We're talking about attention and we're going to have a practical exercise. First of all, let's hear the description from John Kabat-Zinn on what mindfulness is. So according to John, mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. So let's just unpack that. Paying attention in a particular way. That's really the crunch of it. You really need to understand that when it comes to attention, you cannot pay attention to everything at the same time because attention just doesn't work like that. You're either paying attention to what you're hearing, or you're paying attention to what you're thinking. Maybe your attention is what you can feel, is on what you can feel, or maybe your attention is on what you can smell, or maybe it's on your imagination, or maybe your attention is slowly flowing through your body as if you're doing a body scan. Maybe your attention is on feeling grass under your feet. Okay, so what I'm trying to get across here is that attention goes on one thing at a time, and we can choose to keep it on that one thing, or we can choose to allow our attention to flow through our senses. And it's good to have a control over that. So we're doing that on purpose, like in a body scan. We're purposely guiding our attention as it's flowing through our body. Okay, so we can't pay attention to everything at the same time. And of course, our attention is always in the present moment. And we're not judging our experience. Okay, so let's get into 3 practical examples. I want you to just sit up straight and close your eyes and just breathe normally. And just follow my instruction for each practical example. First of all, I want you to practice mindfulness by imagining you're breathing in, you're smelling a flower with your in-breath. And as you're blowing out through your mouth, you imagine a candle. You're not blowing the candle out, but you're making the candle dance. Okay, so it's a concentrated breath, just slowly flowing out and just making a candle dance. Close your eyes and use your mind's eye to do this. Imagine you can see the flower, you're smelling it as you're breathing in. You're breathing out through your mouth and you're making a candle dance. Just stay with this for a couple of minutes. Just let any other thoughts pass and just put your attention back on what you're doing. Breathing in, smelling a flower. Breathing out, making the candle dance. Breathing in, smelling the flower. Breathing out, making the candle dance. Just keep your mind focused. Pay attention to practicing mindfulness in this particular way. Stay with it. Breathing in, smelling the flower. Breathing out, blowing the candle gently, making it dance. Just a few more breaths. Paying attention in a particular way. Breathing in, smelling the flower. Breathing out, making the candle dance. Okay, keep your eyes closed. We'll move to the next exercise. Just breathe normally. This time, you're going to put your attention on your words. You're going to use the words, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. So when you're ready, just continue that. With every in-breath, you're going to say in your mind, I'm breathing in, and with every out-breath, you're going to say in your mind, I'm breathing out. It doesn't matter whether you breathe out through your mouth or through your nose. Just be consistent and practice mindfulness in this particular way. Stay with it, and breathing in and breathing out. Pay attention to the words. And breathing in and breathing out. Keep paying attention to the words. A few more breaths now. Just paying attention to the words. I'm breathing in and breathing out. Okay. For this final technique, keep your eyes closed. Make sure you're sitting up straight. You're going to simply feel the breath, and your attention is going to start at your nose, and it's going to flow down to the bottom of your lungs as your breath goes in, and then your attention is going to flow back out again as the air leaves your body. When you're ready, close your eyes, sit up straight, and continue paying attention in this particular way. Breathing in, letting that attention follow your breath. Just feeling the sensation of your breathing. Try and stay with it. Stay paying attention in this particular way. Just feeling the breath going into your nose, down into your lungs, and then leaving again, coming back out of your nose. Let your attention just flow in your nose, down your lungs, and back up out again. Just keep it flowing. Stay with it, just paying attention in this particular way. other thoughts come into your mind, just let them pass and return your attention back to just following the breath, the sensation of the breath as it enters your body, fills your lungs, and leaves again. Just a few more breaths, paying attention in this particular way. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I hope you can clearly see, I'm sure you can clearly see the difference between these three ways of practicing mindfulness. You're practicing mindfulness in each of these examples, but you are paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. And that's what's so important, that you understand as a mindfulness teacher, and that you are getting the children to understand that concept. It's also very important that you have a list of different ways of practicing 2 minutes of mindfulness for children aged 3 to 6 years. Of course, when they are older and they are enjoying mindfulness and willing to practice for longer periods, then their practice times should increase accordingly. However, while they are still so young, all we want to do is teach them all the various ways of practicing mindfulness and have them really enjoy that experience. What you're doing is teaching. Okay? You're teaching them what mindfulness is, and you're getting them to enjoy the experience, and you want them to master that experience. Okay, you're not just trying to fill up time. You do not want them practicing mindfulness for 5 or 10 minutes. That's a timeout for a child. It's not enjoyable. They don't want to do it, and they won't enjoy mindfulness. It's counterproductive to teach a child for 5 to 10 minutes. You're best just not teaching them at all. Because one day they might be the 1 in 4 children that really need mindfulness because they've got a depressive disorder, they're suffering anxiety or some other mental illness, and they will really need to rely on the skills that you've taught them. Okay, and you want to make sure they do enjoy mindfulness. I know so many children that tell me from previous experiences from teachers who don't know how to even teach mindfulness properly, that they now hate mindfulness. And it's terrible. You're not going to be one of these teachers. Okay? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That's how long you want to teach those children for. And now I've just shown you 3 ways, 3 different styles, and there is so many. Okay, you can teach them listening, just paying attention to what you can hear. You can teach them looking at something, even an opened eye meditation where they're actually looking at one object, or have them looking at the trees, particularly if it's a windy day, just watching the leaves blowing around, but paying attention to that one thing. You're teaching them to pay attention in a particular way. When you do a body scan, it's a wonderful way of showing how you can guide attention all the way down through the body on purpose. You can sit there and do a mindful eating challenge where they're just paying attention to what the food looks like, what the food then feels like. Then their attention is going onto what the food tastes like. Okay, so their attention is once again flowing through, but they're paying attention in a particular way. You may like to also have some other kind of sensory experience for them where they're sitting outside in the sun and they're paying attention to how the sun feels on their skin. Okay, they're paying attention in a particular way. You may want to have them just sit still and focus on their breathing while they pay attention to their thoughts. Or you may decide that you want to lay them down to watch the clouds float by and ask them to look for pictures and shapes in the clouds and get them to focus on their breathing as they're watching the clouds. And then you can explain to them later that the pictures they saw were coming from their imagination. Or you could get them to practice their spidey senses. And you can do that in several ways. You might want to do an up close and personal spidey senses experience where they're going into the leaves, into a garden area, looking for bugs. So they're really focusing on with their eyes and possibly feeling leaves, or if it's a friendly bug, they're letting the bug crawl on them. Or then you may want to practice spidey senses at a distance, so they're sitting still, focusing on breathing and paying attention to what they can hear, how far away can they hear, and paying attention to what they can see, just how far away they can see. Okay, so there really is so many ways that they can experience mindfulness. And of course, in times like these, if it looks like all the children are happy to continue for a little bit longer, then of course you go with that. The 2-minute rule really is just a guideline, and it's really just to make sure they're enjoying it, and you've got a gauge of how long they should be practicing mindfulness when they're pretty much just told to do it. Because they can turn around and practice mindfulness for as long as they're capable of doing it for. Some children may be able to go for 5 minutes, and that's perfectly fine. So, I'm emphasizing that 2-minute rule, but it really is just a guideline, which is also very important that you do understand that it is just a guideline, but it's an important guideline for this age group. But another great thing about 2-minute sessions for 3 to 6-year-old is that they can clearly see and understand that their attention is just on that one thing. They're paying attention in a particular way, or it's flowing from their breathing to the sky or to their thoughts, so they can see their attention move from one thing to another, whether it's their hearing, just how far they can hear, their attention is there, and then their attention is going on what they can see. So their attention again is flowing from one thing to another, and they can clearly see that, particularly if it's a short session and their mind hasn't had a chance to just wander everywhere, because we are just training very young minds in the right way to go. And what we're really trying to get across, which is what I'm trying to get across to you in this lecture, is that we can really only pay attention to one thing at a time, and that attention can flow from one thing to another. So when we practice mindfulness, we are purposely choosing where our attention is going to be. And we're doing that in the present moment and non-judgmentally. So I hope you have really understood this concept. If you are unsure, you need to ask a question, contact me. I want you to as a teacher, have this skill down packed. You really need to understand this. Okay, you need to have a very good understanding of this, and you need to be able to apply mindfulness training in all the different ways that it can be applied. This week, as an assignment, I would like you to just make a very long list of all the ways that you can practice mindfulness and pay attention in a particular way. I really hope you enjoyed this session, and I want you to continue from now until forever to embrace this and embrace your own learning experience, and even just do that for 2 minutes yourself here and there. Okay, practicing all the different ways that you can pay attention in a particular way on purpose. And make sure you make a list of all those ways that you come up with. Thanks for listening.